you're attacking the aid centers in Gaza. Is that correct, sir?
This is false.
Soldiers were ordered to shoot at unarmed civilians waiting for food aid in Gaza.
Why exactly are you attacking Syria?
A massive Israeli strike. Here's the moment of explosion that sent smoke billowing into the sky.
We are not going to wait.
Everybody knows Israel to be this battle-ready country.
Israel's Iron Dome stunned the world as it intercepted some, but not all, of Iran's recent massive barrage of missiles raining down.
Why Israel wants to stop Iran from having the nuclear weapon?
They are so fanatic and so hostile. They are trying to exterminate us. So if they would have the nuclear capability to destroy us, they would use it. The Sunni side, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, jihadi elements, is actually genocidal. They just want to erase the state of Israel, and they are creating the tools to do it. But we had to deal with that.
When this Iran-Israel conflict escalated, Iran blackmailed the world by saying that they will shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Why didn't they shut down the Strait of Hormuz?
The ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran could plunge the entire global economy into recession.
We are now working on a ceasefire that is very difficult to...
So do you think you'll be able to eliminate the threat of Hamas forever?
Oh.
Before we dive in, let's take a moment to thank Odoo for supporting our podcast. Imagine a small manufacturing company in Pune that consistently juggles between multiple software tools, like one for inventory, another for accounting, and another for sales. This leads to miscommunication, inefficiencies, and valuable time is lost in just managing these disconnected systems. But what if all your business needs could be handled in just one place? Well, this is where Odoo comes in as a game changer for businesses of all sizes. Odoo is an all-in-one enterprise resource planning platform that brings together 45 easy-to-use applications. Whether you are managing your sales, invoicing, project management, inventory, or even building a website, Odoo centralizes everything on a single platform. So no more juggling, no more disconnected tools, and no more dealing with messy integrations. Odoo has a very seamless integration. Every app communicates with the other, which creates a unified system. For example, sales is automatically in sync with inventory and accounting, which gives you a real-time overview of your business performance. And Odoo's user-friendly interface ensures that everyone, from a seasoned manager to a first-time user, can adapt to the platform effortlessly. So as your business grows, Odoo grows with you. It's completely scalable and it will allow you to add new applications as your needs evolve. Automation tools streamline repetitive tasks and give you more time to focus on what truly matters, which is scaling your business. The best part, your first Odoo application is completely free for life with unlimited hosting and support included. So if you want to grow your business in a flash, check out the link in the description and start your journey with Odoo today. Hi sir, good morning. Welcome to the Indian Business Podcast.
Hello, Ganesh.
Sir, I'm very excited to talk to you because I've studied Israel's education system. We've studied about Israel's startup system. In fact, while I was studying for my IIT JEE, Tel Aviv was a very, very aspirational university. And today I'm sitting over here, which is a very big moment. So thank you so much for giving me your time.
My pleasure.
Mr. Ambassador, the first thing that I want to talk to you about is the story of Israel. You know, everybody knows Israel to be this battle-ready country, to be this fierce country. But very few people know the story of the creation of Israel.
Yeah.
So to set some context for the audience, could you please tell us the story of creation of Israel?
Yeah, well, the Jewish people is a very ancient nation. To a certain extent, we have, although we are very different in size, you know, you are very big, we are very small, we have many similarities because it's an old civilization with a young country. We had sovereignty and independence millennia ago. You know, our forefathers were present in the land of Israel for millennia, until the Roman Empire basically defeated us. But what differentiates the Jewish people from other peoples is that the Romans and other empires have managed to completely erase civilizations, but our civilization prevailed, and it's mainly as a result of perseverance and memory. You know, Jews are very famous for having a long memory.
Yeah.
And that is because we have one of the oldest literate people in the world. So our kids started going to kindergarten and school since 2,300 years ago. So the fact that Jews have been literate for all these millennia has created a situation which was much easier to preserve our heritage, despite the fact that we were exiled from our land. So although we maintain some presence in the land of Israel, only in 1948 we regained sovereignty. And that was after more than 50 years of settlement and struggle. So the fact that the entire region of West Asia was overtaken by Islamic forces in the last 1,400 years, this created a situation in which there was a lot of resistance for the return of the Jewish people to their ancestral homeland. So we had to struggle in the first, let's say, 30 years with the conventional armies of the Arab states around us that tried to exterminate us at the beginning. And we signed peace agreements, actually, with Egypt and with Jordan. And now we are facing a wave of Islamic radicalism that, unfortunately, is hitting all around the world. And you are feeling that in your part of the world as well. And that is very difficult because the tactics that are implemented, the kind of radicalism, is something that is very difficult to deal with. And the agenda of these radicals, both on the Shiite side, that's mainly, the theocratic regime in Iran, but also the Sunni side, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all these jihadi elements, is actually genocidal. They just want to erase the state of Israel, and they are creating the tools to do it. So we had to deal with that. Fortunately, following the 7th of October and this terrible massacre that happened, we had not only the capability but also the will to persevere, and we have actually pretty much defeated militarily both Hezbollah and Iran and their attempt to execute their plan of extermination of Israel. Israel remains very strong because we have a lot of conviction within our people. We have the will not only to survive but also to thrive. And following all these centuries of persecutions and exile, we know what we have at stake. And we know that what our sovereignty is something very dear to us that we are determined to preserve and protect. And therefore, not only that we have succeeded militarily, but also our economy is doing pretty well. And we have several drivers of strength in our economy. You mentioned the first one, innovation. We have about 7,500 startups in Israel and about 100 unicorns. And these unicorns are special because they deal with core technology and things that actually deal with global problems. And that's why this environment is very attractive, especially for American companies, but other companies also from the world that come and invest in R&D in Israel. The second driver of income now is our defense industry. Because in the last few years there are more wars in the world, and the systems Israel has developed are top-notch. So many countries want to engage with us, like India, in either procurement or joint production. And the third we are having also, that's something from the last decade, is that we have found some natural gas resources offshore.
Oh wow! Okay.
And that is actually, influencing for the positive our balance of payments. In the past, we were very dependent, like India, in import of coal and oil. But we have managed to switch that, and we even export natural gas to our neighbors, to Egypt and to Jordan.
Got it.
So these are the three main drivers of wealth in the last decade that have brought the Israeli economy to a GDP per capita of about $55,000 per capita. And that actually is giving us the tool to invest in the defense systems we need in order to defend ourselves against all these, attacks we are having, unfortunately.
Got it. So what is the root cause of this Islamic radicalization? Like, what do they have to gain by attacking you?
Well, I think that this is something that has to do with a wider phenomenon that we are having in West Asia. There are a lot of endemic problems there that are not connected necessarily to Israel.
Okay.
Tribal tensions, lack of resources, corruption, explosion of population. And this trend of radicalism started in the 70s. If you remember, I don't know if your audience will remember because it happened a long time ago. One of the first victims of this wave was President Anwar Sadat of Egypt after he signed the peace agreement with Israel, because the Islamists weren't accepting the concept of having reconciliation with Israel. And this trend that came mainly from the Muslim Brotherhood movement, that most of the radical Islamic organizations actually got their inspiration from this movement of the Muslim Brothers. This has been, a growing trend as a result, probably, of these endemic problems, and the fact that in 2011, when the so-called Arab Spring happened, brought a complete collapse of some of these countries in West Asia, like Syria, like Yemen, like Libya, the problems we had in Egypt, Sudan, Iraq, Lebanon. This created a vacuum to which all these radical forces were, entered, and the challenge for the peoples of the region is to cope with that. So, fortunately, on the more positive side, we're finding good partners in fighting this radical wave, especially with the countries we have signed peace with, Egypt and Jordan, and also with the Gulf countries that are very concerned because they also want to create prosperity and stability, and have seen that there's a lot of interest that they share with Israel, both in terms of defending themselves from this radical movements, but also in creating prosperity.
Yeah. So logically, if you think about radicalization, it doesn't make any sense at all. Like, if you have to have prosperity, you need to have stability and peace. But how does radicalization benefit them?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, I studied Arabic and I was very curious about our neighbors since I grew up in Jerusalem, and I tried to understand that as well. And I got to the conclusion that what these organizations offer is a very rapid ascent in the social ladder.
Okay.
When you have a system which is based on tribes, in which you are destined to remain in the margins of society, one of the most attractive ways of changing that situation is by joining one of these radical organizations, because then you can elevate yourself to a level of a fighter, a level of somebody that can take whatever they want, and to basically put themselves on top of the social structure.
Got it.
You see? So it's part, to a certain extent, it's part of a social struggle inside these countries against the establishment or against the order. And this is what you have with revolutionaries in all history. Revolutionaries were the ones that came against the established order of that time. So some of the revolutionaries had, reasonable aims. This movement of radical Islam, I think, is more violent, is more fundamentalist in the sense that it wants to get you back to a social order that was present, in the 7th century or the 11th century. And that is something that is very dangerous. And I think it's not only a challenge for Israel and India, but also, as I told you, for Arab countries in the region, and also for countries outside the Arab and Muslim world. So we are partnering with a lot of actually Muslim countries in dealing with that. We have good partnerships with countries like Azerbaijan, for example. But those countries that have either been invaded by these radical groups or support them, they are actually promoting chaos. And we have a responsibility to coalesce in order to deal with that.
Got it. So you spoke about the micro situation, which is if there is a person who's dealing with scarcity, if that person is given an elevated social status, that person may go on to become a radical. who may go on to attack another country so that they can get hold of resources for their family. Now, at the macro level...
No, not necessarily. I'm not talking necessarily about people that are poor.
Okay.
Because there was, I think, a false narrative in the past that if people would be given the opportunity to get a living, they won't be radical. But this is false.
Okay.
Because when you look, for example, the terrorists that made 9/11, they were usually pretty educated people, and were coming from families with very high social status. The question here is to change the political order. Okay? It doesn't necessarily derive from the fact that somebody is poor. It derives from the fact that they are not satisfied. Because especially when you live in a society that is very strutted, okay? That if you belong to a small tribe, you will never be able to get a job or get respect because the other bigger tribe is subjugating you. So the idea here is that all these endemic problems together are creating chaos and creating a situation in which those people that choose to support these radical ideas, they just want to be on top. So, for example, you are seeing that different radical movements, they want to establish their own caliphate. Okay? So they want to imitate the caliphates from the 7th century, and etc., by creating their own caliphate. So ISIS wanted to create its own caliphate. HTS now, which is controlling Syria, wants to create their own caliphate. The Iranians, the theocratic regime of Iran, wants to create their own caliphate, their own hegemony in West Asia.
Got it.
So these radicals are not just want to eliminate the let's say the forces that they want to subjugate, but they're also fighting against each other.
Got it. Is that the reason why the Middle East is so chaotic, sir?
Yeah, I think this is the main reason.
Understood. Sir, when we were studying history, we found something very interesting. We found out that before 1979, Israel and Iran were kind of friendly nations.
Yes.
But what happened?
The Islamic Revolution.
Okay, can you please tell me about that, sir? What happened after 1979?
Well, what happened basically is that the Islamic Revolution happened as a result of the fact that there were some not only Islamic elements, but there were opposition elements to the Shah at that time.
Okay, the Shah of Iran.
And they coalesced in order to topple him.
Okay.
Once they managed to topple him, the radical Islamic element within Iranian society that was partially pretty small, they managed to gradually subjugate all the other opposition parties by eliminating them physically.
Okay.
And that way, they managed to change the nature of the Iranian political landscape and to take over Iran in a permanent way. So there are about, maybe 1 million Basij people, the Revolutionary Guard Corps, that are taking care that order in Iran will not change and that forces that want to change Iran or even want to make it more moderate will not succeed. And what these people are doing is not only change the nature of Iran itself, but they launched a campaign of hegemony in the region by creating proxy armies.
Proxy armies?
Yes. Like Hezbollah, for example, which was its biggest proxy. It was based on the Shiite minority in Lebanon. And they created an army that had more than 150,000 rockets and missiles. They created militias in Iraq. They had militias in Syria. The Houthis in Yemen worked with them. They are trying to, cooperate with Shiite minorities in Saudi Arabia and Bahrain as well. And of course, they worked with Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. And not only they supported them financially, they also trained them. They supplied them the means to produce sophisticated weapons, like ballistic missiles. And that was part of a three-dimensional plan to exterminate the state of Israel. For them, Jerusalem was a conduit, a vehicle to get over the Islamic world, to take over Mecca and Medina. Because they want to have, they have a 1,400-year war with Sunni Islam.
Okay.
And they want to take over. So this three-dimensional plan included the proxies that I talked about, but also a military nuclear program that they have been working on for decades, and we successfully managed to delay it, but we haven't been able to completely annihilate it. At the past, President Rafsanjani said that Israel is a one-bomb state. So if they would have the nuclear capability to destroy us, they would use it. And the third dimension was a ballistic missile program. They already accumulated thousands of them, and they had a factory that could produce 300 per month. So in 3 years, they would have 10,000. In 6 years, they would have 20,000 ballistic missiles. So when we saw that diplomacy completely failed in trying to change that, we did the preemptive attack that took out their nuclear facilities and took out their ballistic missile production capability.
Got it. So is that the reason why the conflict between Israel and Iran escalated?
Well, no, it escalated because already 30 years ago, they started using these proxies against us. And almost every attack we had against Israel, either from Lebanon or in the West Bank, in Judea and Samaria, or from Gaza, had an Iranian connection, because it was either an Iranian weapon or a terrorist that was trained by Iran, or a terrorist that was financed by Iran, or it was something that was produced with Iranian knowledge, etc. So the Iranians have been engaging unilaterally in war with us for the last 30 years. And it only escalated now because of the 7th of October, which was the most atrocious terrorist attack against us since the Holocaust. And because we had an escalation with Hezbollah as well, because Hezbollah joined the war launched by Hamas against us. So once we got rid of the military capabilities of Hamas and Hezbollah, Iran got exposed. It decided to attack us directly, which it didn't do in the past. And as a result of that, we had to retaliate. And we retaliated by removing these existential threats that were being produced in Iran against us.
Got it. So tell us about 7th of October and what exactly happened.
Well, look, for us, it was a major intelligence and operational failure, because we failed to understand that Hamas was planning an attack against us. We completely withdrew from the Gaza Strip back in 2005. And a few months after, Hamas first won an election there, and then they got rid of the Palestinian Authority militarily. And for 18 years, they've been actually using every bit of assistance that Palestinians had in the Gaza Strip to create this machine of destruction against Israel. So we tried to deal with that without invading the Gaza Strip, or without taking back the Gaza Strip, because we didn't want to control the Gaza Strip. We wanted to be controlled by Palestinians. But unfortunately, our hesitance has created a situation in which our military actions to, create deterrence ultimately failed, and Hamas launched this attack in a way that actually left, our border defenseless. They took hundreds of people hostage, 254 actually. They murdered 1,200 people, including more than 800 civilians on that day. And we had no choice but to organize ourselves to destroy the military machinery of Hamas. And the cabinet adopted the decision, first of all, of course, to bring back the hostages, but also to make sure that Hamas cannot rearm and regroup and will not establish itself as a future government in the Gaza Strip. So this is why we are fighting this war. It's taking a long time because we don't want to kill the hostages. So we've been able, through a balance of negotiations and military pressure, to bring back so far about 200 hostages. We are left with 50, out of them about 20 alive. And now we are talking about a new deal that is being negotiated to bring back about half of them for a ceasefire of 60 days, in which we will try to negotiate a way out, that Hamas basically will give us all the hostages and leave the Gaza Strip, so Gaza can be ruled by a more moderate and pragmatic force.
Got it.
With whom will be able, and the international community will be able to cooperate.
So do you think you'll be able to eliminate the threat of Hamas forever this time?
Look, there is not such a thing forever. Because as long as you have these radicals in our region, you will have motivation to attack us. However, what we can do is to have a more sustainable security arrangement that will allow us to defend ourselves in a way that will not create in the future another 7th of October.
Got it. So when this Iran-Israel conflict escalated, Iran blackmailed the world by saying that they will shut down the Strait of Hormuz. Why didn't they shut down the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, I think that it was as a result of the incredible success of our military operation.
Okay.
Because I think that we surprised them. They didn't expect that we would be able to completely neutralize their air defenses. They had a huge amount of air defense batteries that we've been able to neutralize. They didn't, and that created a huge exposure. So not only that we have destroyed their nuclear facilities and their ballistic missiles operations, but also we have been able to attack some of the military leadership. And they understood that if they escalate this conflict, not only that they will be subject to more Israeli pounding, but also that other countries, including the United States, can enter into the mix and actually completely destroy the regime. And therefore, I think they were deterred, and that's why they didn't act to block the Straits of Hormuz.
So, in the worst case scenario, if they end up blocking the Strait of Hormuz, how will that affect the world?
Well, I don't know. There are many scenarios that could happen. I think that war is always a negative thing that could influence, negatively the markets. But I think that people do not take into account, first, that the balance of power has changed, that the Israeli military success has created a situation in which the capability of the Iranians to create havoc and damage have diminished. That's number one. Number two, you probably saw, because I understand majority of your audience come from the economics sector, that the oil market didn't move much. Yeah. So there was a spike of about $10, and then it went out. So there are alternatives when it comes to the oil markets, mainly thanks to the huge production you have in the United States. But I think that the balance of power in the Gulf is such that although the Iranians have capabilities to create damage and havoc, the consequences for them would be such that that would be not only a mistake from their side, I think the scope of damage would be limited in time as well.
Sir, if they end up blocking the Strait of Hormuz, can the world collaborate together and do something to make sure that we stop the impact from happening?
Of course. I think that the world should have done more to collaborate in order to change this radical policies of the Iranian theocratic regime. And the failure of diplomacy and military pressure has created this conflict, this escalation. So war is always a failure of diplomacy to sort out a problem. And we hope that after this defeat of the Iranians, which of course they try to portray as a victory from their side.
Really?
Yeah, well, you can watch Iranian media. It's not very pleasant or very reliable, but if you watch it, you will see that they are portraying this as a victory from their side. I think that at the end of the day, they understand that their situation has changed, and they started negotiations with the Europeans. I hope that we will get into a situation which the IAEA inspectors will come back to Iran, because if Iran refuses and tries to reconstitute their nuclear program or the ballistic missile program, Israel will have to act again.
So we've been hearing a lot about why Israel wants to stop Iran from having the nuclear weapon. Here's where there's another argument that comes out from the world which says that there are so many countries that have nuclear weapons. Why can't Iran have its own nuclear weapon? So I want you to put out your perspective.
Yes.
Why aren't you letting Iran have a nuclear weapon? Because on the outside, it looks like you're trying to interfere with the sovereignty of a particular country. So could you tell us your perspective on that?
Yeah. Well, the problem derives from the intentions of Iran. The fact that they have stated time and again that they want to exterminate us. And they have actually embarked in a program of tens of billions of dollars to try to execute what they stated. So when you have somebody that wants to destroy you to that extent, then you have to defend yourself. Okay? So there was a theory in the past in international relations, during the Cold War, that actually the fact that the United States and the Soviet Union had this huge arsenal of nuclear weapons served as a stabilizer. But the Soviet Union or the United States, they weren't having a plan, an active plan, an operational plan of trying to annihilate the other side. This is what's happening with Iran. They are trying to exterminate us. And therefore, we have no choice. If we don't stop them, we'll be out. We'll be exterminated.
Yeah. So when you go there and carry out these preemptive attacks, do you experience geopolitical pressure to back out? Because I remember when India tested its nuclear bomb for the first time, we were imposed with sanctions. Yeah. So consistently, we've been reading about the fact that India is not doing a certain thing because of geopolitical pressure. Do you also experience geopolitical pressure when you carry out these attacks?
Yeah, of course. But the degree of political pressure changes from time to time. In the time of the Cold War, the system was so tight that usually a local conflict couldn't go for long before the Soviet Union or the United States intervened in trying to de-escalate the conflict, because it could escalate into a world war. Okay? Today, we are living in another world, a world that is no longer bipolar, but it's becoming increasingly multipolar. And that means that there are less efficient forces that put strains on countries not to go too far when it comes to their belligerent intentions. And that means that Iran wasn't under enough pressure to refrain from doing what they wanted to do, and therefore we had to take action. Now, of course, when it comes to pressure, there are different kinds of pressure. You mentioned sanctions, diplomatic pressure. Sometimes there is military pressure.
Yeah.
I think that Iran is pretty isolated. That the fact that they are so fanatic and so hostile is creating a situation in which many countries actually, although some of them have condemned Israeli action, our action was celebrated. Okay, and we hear it mainly in quiet circles behind the scenes, because nobody is interested in the world in having some such rogue states to acquire the means of mass destruction that will allow them to execute their radical policies. Therefore, I think Israel, by defending itself, and thankfully we had full American backing, we also did a service for the region, and we did a service for the world.
How do you control the narrative, sir? Because when Russia attacked Ukraine, the narrative was completely against Russia. And when we did a deep dive into this whole narrative study, what we've understood is that the kind of wording that you use, it matters a lot in terms of how the world looks at a particular country, right? So when Israel does something, do you do something deliberately to make sure the world knows exactly what you're doing without actually making you look like a threat to the world order?
Yeah, of course. Every country, including Israel, does whatever they can in terms of narrative in order to represent themselves in the most positive way they can. The challenge comes from the fact that sometimes you have other countries or other constituencies that have different agendas, and they have the power to influence the narrative in a way that is overwhelmingly bigger than yours. So I think India, to a certain extent, suffers from that, because many times your narrative is not only undermined by campaigns of your adversaries, but also, by the narratives of larger audiences or constituencies from the larger Muslim world. Okay, we are even in a war situation because we are a tiny country. So imagine India is 1.4 billion. We are 10 million. So you are 140 times bigger than us.
Yeah.
Okay. Israel has to invest a lot in hard power. It doesn't have attention span or money to invest in softer power.
Yeah.
Although Israel has huge assets when it comes to soft power. We have not only innovations, I told you, we have very progressive policies when it comes to human rights, to women's rights, to rights of minorities. And that is very difficult to project because our country is in a continuous negative campaign that is being conducted by TV channels like Al Jazeera, which is a huge mammoth with billions of dollars of budget, by TRT, by even Western media outlets that are not friendly to us. So that is very difficult to counter. And this is a challenge that we have as diplomats, and you have to do your best.
So you're saying that you have no choice. You are a small country and you have to defend yourself at no cost.
Yeah, sometimes you will be unpopular. Well, it's not at any cost. It's at a cost that is necessary. Because, look, unlike theocracies or autocracies or dictatorships, Israel is a democratic country, and we are very hesitant to use force because we know what is the price of that. We have a conscription army. Our kids go to the army. So it means that if you will do something that is unnecessary, it might cost the lives of your own kids.
Correct.
And therefore, there's a lot of pressure in Israel to stop any belligerence. Okay? We usually use force when we don't have a choice. And this is a classical situation that we had on the 7th of October. We were attacked in a completely unprovoked way, and we had to defend ourselves.
Got it. So there are reports that now say that you're attacking Syria. Why exactly are you attacking Syria?
Okay, so in Syria, what happened basically is that the Assad regime collapsed as a result of the fact that Israel defeated Hezbollah, because Assad was leaning a lot, not on his own army that has been decimated in 15 years of civil war, but on Hezbollah, which was the main proxy of Iran. So when Hezbollah collapsed, the opponents of the Assad regime in Iran, in Syria, decided to attack Assad, and they toppled him. Now, unfortunately, the nature of these forces is also radical Islamist. Not Shiite, but Sunni. So, for example, the president of Syria was a member in the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which is a jihadist group that was formed following the civil war in Syria 15 years ago. And inside this regime, you have these elements with a kind of Islamic thought that is connected with a very, very, let's say, fanatic interpretation of Islamic law that comes from, they call themselves Bet Umayyah and Ibn Tamimah school of thought that basically believe that they have to exterminate all minorities in Syria.
All minorities?
Yes. So they have been ethnically cleansing the Alawites and trying to subjugate them. They have very negative views about the Druze that are mainly in southern Syria. And of course, they are very hostile towards Israel. Now, because of the fact that they are fighting against each other, they haven't started to fight against Israel, but we know that if we allow them to come to our border area, like what happened during the Civil War, the beginning of the Civil War 15 years ago, that would endanger us. And therefore, we established a very clear policy that we will not allow these radical elements to go south of Damascus and to threaten our border.
Got it.
And as long as they agree to that, we have engaged with them. We have tried through Azerbaijani mediation to create a dialogue and to create a security regime that will serve us and serve them. Unfortunately, what is happening is that these radical elements that are basically commanded by Julani, that is trying to portray himself as a moderate person, but his people are very, very extreme. They have launched an attack against the Druze in the south, in an area called Sweda, which is a province that is in the south western side of Syria. And they have committed atrocities, like the atrocities Hamas committed on the 7th of October. Raping, abducting women, beheading people, doing this terrible violence that already claimed the lives of about 1,000 people. And we've been trying, together with our American friends, to try to, produce a ceasefire there. But we were very adamant that they will not use these incidents in order to penetrate into the southern area and produce a menace against our border. So as much as we understand the intentions of many countries in the Arab world to try to, rebuild Syria, I think we have to be very cautious in which way we legitimize these people, because if we are not firm in demanding a reform in the way that they are conducting themselves, and the way they conduct themselves vis-a-vis the minorities in Syria, then you would have, again, a radical Islamic regime that would threaten not only Israel, but also other countries in the region.
Got it.
So Israel is calling for caution. And we are not rushing to legitimizing this guy. We understand that there are pressures. The Arab world wants to include Syria back again in the Arab world. That's understandable. They want to invest in Syria. That's understandable. In the West, there are many pressures when it comes to migrants. They want to get rid of some of the criminal elements that they have caught within the waves of immigration coming from Syria to send people back. We understand that. But if you do it in an irresponsible way, by allowing this kind of atrocities against the Druze, this atrocity will be committed against others in the future. And therefore, we have to be responsible. And we are trying to, cooperate with the powers of the world in order to convey our message and make sure, first of all, that minorities in Syria are protected. Second, that they agree to our demand not to allow jihadist elements to go south of Damascus. And of course, we are willing, more than willing, and we are already engaged in diplomacy in order to try to create deconfliction and make security arrangements to allow a stable Syria that will enjoy all these things that the world wants to give it.
So what will you deliberately do to stabilize Syria from now onwards?
Well, we do not interfere in the political composition of the Syrian regime. We have a policy of non-intervention in the matters of our neighbors. Okay. However, we are very worried and concerned with our own security. And therefore, when we see that there is such a danger, we take action.
Okay.
And we are, as I said, we are willing to engage in order to create the confliction. But what will be the political future of Syria? This is something that the Syrian people will have to decide.
Because sir, every time you get inside and let's say you attack a particular country, on the outset, we all know why you attack them because you are speaking to me, you are speaking to the limited people who are watching this episode, right? But when it comes to that local region, once you've attacked and you're gone, they use that as an opportunity to then build this narrative. Let's see, Israelis are evil.
Yeah, but you're forgetting the starting point. It's not that Israel just decided out of the blue. It's because we were attacked. It's because these radicals either attacked us, they're organizing themselves to attack us. So this is not something that is a result of our intervention. Our intervention is a result of what has been happening in those places. So as I told you, when the Iranians decided more than 30 years ago that they want to exterminate us and started to attack us, that's when we started to organize ourselves to try to defend ourselves against that. The same goes to their proxies. The same goes to these jihadi elements. We are not going to wait until they do a 7th of October. We are seeing what they are doing to the Druze. And they consider us even worse than the Druze. You see? So we don't have to wait.
Got it. Understood, sir. So the next thing that I want to talk to you about is Gaza. There are a lot of news reports which say that you're attacking the aid centers in Gaza. Is that correct, sir?
No. What is happening is the following. We've been, in the first 18 months of this campaign, we've been dealing mainly with Hamas's military capabilities.
Okay.
Their production facilities, their stockpiles of missiles and rockets, their attack tunnels, their command and control centers that usually were under humanitarian facilities like hospitals and UN installations, etc. It was very delicate, very problematic. We had to evacuate the situation. It created a lot of collateral damage, not to the extent that you have in other scenarios where they don't use the precautions that we use, but it was at a severe cost. Now, what we found out is that Hamas actually is sequestrating the humanitarian assistance that is being given to the Palestinians. They take it and then they sell it to the population. In this way, they are actually managing to maintain their grip of power over the population.
Okay.
In addition to that, they are assimilating themselves within the population. So they take out their uniform and they stay in those humanitarian areas in which the population was supposed to evacuate to feel safe in, to have as a safe haven.
Yeah.
So that is creating a challenge, A, to the humanitarian distribution, B, to the future of Gaza. So we decided to adopt a new approach to bring alternative humanitarian conduits in order that are not controlled by Hamas. So a new organization called the GHF.
GHF?
Yes, the Gaza Humanitarian Force or Foundation. They are now delivering to the Palestinian population about 1 million meals per day. Okay? Hamas is trying to basically undermine that.
Okay.
So they enter into the lines of the people that want to get assistance, that create chaos, they shoot at them. And then naturally, our military has to defend ourselves, the GHF people have to defend themselves, and there are incidents in which people get killed. So we haven't allowed that to undermine the effort. And this humanitarian effort has been increasing from day to day. It started with a few thousand per day and with one point of delivery. And now we have several points around the Gaza Strip which are delivering assistance to the population. Okay?
Got it.
Now, of course, there is a lot of resistance, not only from Hamas, but also from the international organizations that have been working with Hamas, like UNRWA, for example, which is the agency that was created in 1947 to perpetuate the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians.
Okay.
This organization that actually promotes a narrative of Palestinians going back to Israel, sort of reversing the results of this war of annihilation the Arabs did against us in 1948. They are actually compromised by Hamas. We have provided to the UN Secretary General a list of Hamas operatives that actually are part of this organization, getting salary from them. Part of the UN workers actually participated on the attacks of the 7th of October and abducted Israelis. And we have proof. We have supplied, camera footage of that.
Okay.
Of UN people that are getting salary from the UN and actually engaged in abducting Israelis.
Okay.
It's terrible. So this organization that is completely biased is still having some backing from the international system. And they are trying to force a situation in which they continue to be the sole supplier of humanitarian assistance. So they don't want to work with Israel. And they want to perpetuate the Hamas rule of the Gaza Strip. We, of course, are not going to allow that. And this is a very, very tough struggle in which we have to maintain patience and perseverance. But, there's consensus in Israel that although, yes, we want to bring all our hostages, and this is a commitment that is coming from the government, the Prime Minister, this is not going to be at the expense of surrendering to Hamas or allowing it to regain control over Gaza. So we are now working on a ceasefire that is very difficult to do because Hamas is relentless. They don't want to, although they were defeated, they don't want to face that. They don't want to cooperate. But eventually, when military pressure continues to make effect, they will have no choice but to agree to a ceasefire. And at the end of the day, Israel will continue working in order to create a better future for Gaza, a future that will be free from Hamas, a future that will allow the Palestinian people to engage in activities that will serve the interests of the civilians and not the interests of the terrorist organization.
Got it. So, what fascinates me about Israel is that you have so many threats. You've got threats from Syria, from Gaza, from Iran. But even then, Israel, in spite of being such a small country, it is by far one of the most powerful countries in the world. What did your founding fathers do so deliberately to make sure that your country is so powerful at the geopolitical front?
Well, I think that the first and most important element is the element of solidarity. The fact that we understood as a people that we have no choice but to lean on ourselves and to lean on our colleagues. And this is the sense that you get, for example, when you serve in a military unit. I was in the paratroopers. The fact that you understand that you completely lean on the willingness of your companion to sacrifice enough to have a victory, because the consequences of a defeat is that we won't exist.
Yeah.
So it demands a higher degree of performance. So imagine if you're a young person in a normal country, you get to 18, you go to university, right? In Israel, you go to the army. You finish the army, you go to the university, then you're called again as a reservist. Okay, so you have to give a lot. When you give a lot, it means that you care. It means that you're engaged. It means that you're more productive. It means that you will have different results. And that's what happens. The average person, civilian in Israel, gives so much. And of course, this comes with a price. First of all, of course, the victims of the terrorist attacks and the wars. It comes with a price also because some of the people are devastated. Imagine, we are 20 months in this war. It's the longest war we had since our independence.
Correct.
Of course, people are looking for a situation which will finally get to a ceasefire, that will go back to our daily lives. Some of the kids have lost 1 year of university. This comes at a huge expense. But we have the motivation because we understand we have no choice. And this is creating a lot of not only goodwill, but also solidarity, not only self-help, but also help in the community. If you would come to Israel following the 7th of October, you would see that there were thousands of initiatives of volunteering. People, volunteer to give assistance to others, to supply them food, economic assistance, shelter, and different kinds of services. So I think this is also what gives Israel this very high rating when it comes to the level of happiness that we enjoy. And Israel is the 8th happiest nation in the world. So I think that, to summarize it in one sentence, I would say it's solidarity, and it's the sense that you have no choice.
Yeah. So Israel is at war so often. And if any other country had been in your place, they would have succumbed to war. But then you turned that into an opportunity by making sure that your defense systems become one of the best in the world. Not a lot of countries have been able to do that. My question is, sir, what did the Israeli government do so deliberately to make sure that you become pioneers in defense and not just succumb to the pressure of wars?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's also the promise of peace. The fact that, the government is working to do peace. So we did peace with our neighbors, with Egypt, with Jordan, with the Abrahamic Accord countries, UAE, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco. We want to have peace with Saudi Arabia as well, with other Arab countries. So this gives us hope that we'll be able to stabilize the situation finally. But going back to your question, well, one of the things is that we have conscription, and that allows the military to screen the entire population and allocate the right amount of human resources in the places that are needed in order to develop what we need.
Okay.
So, for example, we have several programs to actually get the brightest minds in the country to work on security challenges. And then, as a result of the fact that we have reformed the economy and we have created free markets and we have free ideas, so people are free to create, they work in teams, they can work very intensively, and they create these breakthroughs that you see both in the defense sector but also in the civilian sector. And this is something that many people ask us because many countries want to imitate.
Yeah.
And some of them derive from how the government supports the innovation.
Correct.
But also it derives from as I told you, the sense of urgency that we have and the culture. We have a very flat culture in Israel.
What does that mean, sir?
Well, we don't have much hierarchy in Israel. And, a very young person can challenge authority. We have a tradition in Israel of challenging authority. The name Israel, you know what is the meaning of Israel?
No, sir.
Well, in Hebrew, Israel was the name that was given to one of our forefathers, Jacob, for fighting an angel.
Fighting an angel?
Yes.
Okay.
We have this tradition that started with our forefathers, always to question.
Always to question.
Yes, always to challenge authority. So although we are a monotheistic religion and we believe in God, we always have challenged God. And we challenge each other. that creates a lot of creativity. It creates a lot of problems as well, because it's a country that's very difficult to manage. So we have a very chaotic politics. Everybody in Israel is the prime minister, and everybody knows better. It can become very annoying, believe me, especially if you are the leader of the country. So it's a very competitive environment, a very tense environment. And some people find it tiring, but this is what you have. Sometimes you have to live with the positive sides of your character and also with the negative sides.
Yeah. So solidarity and always keep questioning culture.
Yes.
And so the third thing that I wanted to ask you is about the startup ecosystem. So right now, India is witnessing a very interesting time in terms of startups. We are building a startup. There are a lot of friends of ours who are building startups. And that's where innovation is a very interesting term, because it means different things to different people, right?
Right.
But Israel is by far the most innovative country in terms of startups, because your startups don't just go on to become Israeli leaders, they go on to become world leaders. And I was just having a look at the list of startups from Israel, and it was fascinating. From medicine to defense, you guys have extraordinary patents. And there's this interesting trend that Israeli startups do insanely well, develop proof of concept, go to the United States and raise money over there,
Right.
and then get sold to a company like Google for $1 billion.
So the difference is that in Israel, we export innovation. You see, this is an export. It's a service that we do as a result of these qualities that I've mentioned before. India also has a very vibrant innovation ecosystem with which we are trying to cooperate as much as we can. But what is the difference? The difference is that you're a huge market. Israel is a minuscule market.
Yeah.
So you could actually enjoy innovation in the entire economic chain. Because when you implement innovation and you scale it up, you create a huge economic impact inside your market. So what India is doing is actually something that Israel cannot do. We cannot rely on our domestic market. We have to go out. And that's why we go out at a very early stage to get money from abroad, because we are minuscule. In your case, even if you have a startup that does not have a global technological breakthrough, you can still scale it up.
Yeah.
So some of your unicorns are unicorns, you have a company that is worth more than $1 billion. It's not because it has a new technology.
Yeah.
It actually took a technology from another place, but still is a unicorn. Like take, for example, Zomato, okay? So there's not much technology, innovative technology they have to implement when you build a startup like Zomato, because the technology is out there.
Yeah.
Okay? So actually, this is what is great about India. The fact that you can benefit from innovation to a much larger extent than Israel can. And therefore, this partnership is a great partnership, because we can do R&D together. We have a challenge to adapt to your environment in terms of having the technologies at the right ripeness level that would be applicable to scale up in India. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to encourage Israeli companies to come to the Indian market. And actually, we're encouraging Indian big companies to scout for technologies in Israel.
Okay.
So this is happening increasingly. We are now negotiating a bilateral a mutual investment agreement, and we hope to also negotiate a trade agreement that will pave the way for more companies to come in both directions.
Got it.
So I'll give you an example. I'm going to participate next week. I cannot yet disclose the name of the company, but to participate in a ceremony of an investment of several dozens of billions of dollars of an Indian company buying an Israeli company.
Okay.
Because that company is going to give the innovative edge that the Indian company needs to compete in local and global markets.
Got it.
So this is increasingly going to happen when we have all this risk. Companies are usually very risk averse.
Yeah.
So we have to remove the risks. We have to pay the way. We have to allow companies not to travel on dirt roads, but on highways. Okay, and these highways have to be bilateral agreements, flights. We have a responsibility as governments to provide the infrastructure. Just like, your government is building all this infrastructure that is putting movement to your economy, we have to do the same. If we do that, I think that the number of companies in the high-tech sector that are cooperating with each other are going to skyrocket.
Got it.
And we have also a lot of interest coming from our universities, our academia. They want to come to India. They are engaging in agreements not only of exchange of students but also in cooperation in R&D between the transfer of technology offices. This is a critical moment, a critical juncture in the relations between Israel and India, because what we have is a lot of trust that has been created in the last 30 years as a result of the defense cooperation.
Yeah.
We added to this pillar the food pillar, irrigation, water, that is working very well. We want to add another pillar, that's infrastructure. We want Indian companies to come and develop infrastructure projects in Israel, because we also are lagging behind. They are investing a lot in infrastructure now. And the fourth pillar, of course, is the innovation that you've been talking about.
So how are your engineering students so innovative? Because I'm an engineering student.
Okay.
And my friend studied in Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
And he was like, here the innovation is at the next level. Like engineering students are solving real world problems. The collaboration is next level. Yeah. So how are your engineering students so innovative, sir?
Well, look, if I would have the answer, probably I would be an engineering student myself. But unfortunately,
got it.
I'm just a government employee, so I don't have all the answers. I gave you some of the aspects that we have. To challenge authority, to think globally, to think in terms of how to change the world, how to make the world a better place, working in a competitive environment, working in teams, trusting your friends. These are the things that are probably getting them to be innovative. But nothing can be taken for granted. This is not necessarily something that we're going to have forever. It's something that you have to nurture all the time. And we have developed some tools. The Israeli government has an investment authority. And what this authority usually does, they invest billions every year in the most, let's say, adventurous ideas. Ideas that even venture capital companies wouldn't invest in. And this is also giving, incentives to people and it's the branding as well. The fact that we have created this brand of the Innovation Nation is also attracting a lot of capital. We have about 500 international companies investing in R&D in Israel. So most of the innovation in Israel today is being owned by American companies, actually.
Got it. Wonderful, sir. So this was a wonderful episode. Before we conclude, if there's one message that you have to give to the people of India, what would that message be?
Oh, come to Israel. Come visit Israel. Engage with us. We both have common heritage. We have common challenges. We have a common future. And I'm sure that this is only going to grow. So invest in us, we'll invest in you.
Thank you so much, sir. This was wonderful. Israel, like I said, has been one of our inspirations. And, I often tell my community that we should always look forward to that nation which is excelling in adversity. And Israel is one such nation that has proven that you can turn every threat into an opportunity and you can always come out stronger. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you, sir.